Hello, everyone, and welcome to Weekly Oscar Talk. I have forgotten the number we are on, but we're in the teens now. We're late in the teens as well. We're about to enter our 20s. Lots to talk about this week. We took a little mini break after the nominations. We gave you plenty of stuff to watch, 2 hours worth of discussion. So I hope you enjoyed that, but we are back now. Plenty of stuff went down. I'm here to talk about it all with Anthony, as always.
Hi, everyone.
So, first things first. Um, the biggest thing I think that's happened since we last met would be the Oscars fan favorite thing. They announced this pretty much the same day. I believe they announced the hosts, which we'll get into afterwards. So they're doing a Oscars fan favorite award, pretty much where Twitter users can vote 20 times a day for a specific movie they want to be honored as the fan favorite. And they're also doing a cheer moment, which is people voting for what they think was like the best moment in movies of last year. Pretty much everyone saw this as like a ploy to honor Spider-Man No Way Home because they only really nominated it in visual effects. And there was some backlash afterwards from some high-level individuals like, oh, you should have put Spider-Man No Way Home in and all that fun stuff.
Interesting name to give Jimmy Kimmel and Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
High-level individuals.
Yeah. They're very high profile.
High profile.
Jimmy Kimmel's just mad that he's not hosting. Yeah, and then also the final thing here. Apparently, we've learned today Cinderella from Amazon is leading this of all movies.
Which I love.
I mean,
I love that that's happening.
that screams to me bots. There's no way that's legit. I don't think there's enough legit people voting for, or maybe people trying to troll it because they think it's a terrible idea. But what do you think of this all?
Well, I mean, first off, on Cinderella, it should be said that it was a huge streaming hit for Amazon Prime Video. So it's not like the fact that that's one of the, it's not like a movie that was so underseen that had
No.
like a really big star in it that flopped. Cinderella did do well for Amazon. So I'm not surprised it's in the running. The fact that it's beating out the Spider-Man stands and the Lady Gaga stands, because I thought what was going to happen is that we would think it's going to be for Spider-Man, and then House of Gucci comes out of nowhere because the little monsters are just they're persistent. So I mean, Camila Cabello, her stands are very 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 passionate, silently so it seems. As far as this overall, I'm not opposed to the idea of involving social media in this fashion. I think a couple of years ago, the Emmys, I think, did like most binge-worthy show, and they presented it for like 20 seconds as they were going to commercial. And I think Outlander won. And Game of Thrones was up and Stranger Things was up. Now the Emmys is in a different position because the big shows, the more blockbuster shows, do receive.
They got nominated, yeah.
Stranger Things, Game of Thrones, The Mandalorian. WandaVision. Hello. So they get in these top categories. So they don't always have as big a deal with, getting people to feel motivated to watch of the people that do watch. It's also, I think the Emmys don't have the same feeling of we need people to watch and pay attention.
No,
that the Oscars feel like the Oscars have this sort of self-importance. And they are important, but they make you feel that they're important. It reminds me
they're desperate.
Yeah, it reminds me of Lady Gaga's whole awards campaign, where it's like, you did good work. You don't have to keep selling yourself that you're doing good work. And the same with the Oscars, don't need to sell us that they're important. They are essentially the one night that is dedicated to the art of cinema and honoring the cinematic art form. So like, we got it, I think their issues have been trying to get people to watch that don't have that mindset. Like, you're not going to get the people to watch the Oscars who don't at least have a reverence or even a passing reverence for what film can achieve. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the first thing. I think the Oscars are I think they have the right idea to try and like spruce up the show, but they're going down the wrong path.
Yeah. It's like what Seth Rogen, I think he was one of these other people who had a quote these past few weeks. He was like, don't try and get the people who aren't interested in movies to get interested in your show. He's like, I'm not interested in like car automobile awards because I'm not interested in that whole industry. So
Yeah, it was a great. He was like, the car automobile awards don't try to get people to pay attention to their
yeah,
awards. And the Oscars seem like they try to get other people that aren't going to watch to watch. And I think the issue with that is it makes the people who do want to watch and the people who are passionate to watch the Academy Awards, it makes them feel that they're in the minority when they should be the majority. We should be honoring the best work. I don't think it needs to be this huge trending thing. Yes, it was back then, a couple 20 years ago and before, but the world has changed. As long as you can follow the award show on your phone, on Twitter, like it's just not gonna, and especially because unlike like what the Tonys on Paramount Plus, I believe that's what they did. Like Disney has not announced whether you can stream the Oscars on Disney Plus or Hulu. If it's going to continue to be a cable only experience, like that's what I think needs to happen first. Get
that's
the
the biggest
Oscars
issue. Yeah.
on streaming because that's how you're going to get people to tune in instead
Mhm.
of trying to come up with these petty ways to get these movies in. And now let's turn over to why this happened, which very much reminds me of when the best popular film
It's the same
Oscar was
thing. Yeah.
contested to get Black Panther in. This was before Black Panther got nominated for Best Picture, and there was worries about whether it would, and they were like, "Well, we'll give it the best popular
To be
Oscar." And
safe.
people obviously revolted. I'm surprised, I guess, because this doesn't actually give anybody a statue, that it hasn't had the same effect that had.
And
But
it's not their responsibility anymore. They can put the blame on the public who's voting
yeah,
for it.
so maybe that's it. But it's still like they're still gonna like probably, I don't know if they'll read out like the nominees, like the top five, and then say the winner, but they're probably gonna have an
Yeah.
envelope and they'll read it out. And the people, I mean, is somebody going to accept this honor on their behalf, even though they don't get a statue? Like, it's
I
still going
don't
to
think so.
feel like a moment, right? Unless they
Yeah.
just say, this was the Twitter Fan Favorite Award. Congratulations, Marvel. If it's
I'd
Marvel.
imagine I'd imagine it's one of the hosts who said like maybe has an envelope who says what it is and then they like applaud. I don't
Yeah.
think given how they cut off everyone's speeches as it is, I don't think they're gonna have someone give another speech.
Yeah. So that's why there's a lot of interesting things about this that's up in the air. Now, as far as the Spider-Man of it goes, we talked about last episode, that it's not, Spider-Man No Way Home did not represent a cinematic achievement that, let's say, Avengers Endgame did, that Black Panther did, that Avatar did. Like these movies changed the game either on a technological and craft basis or a more thematic standpoint with like Black Panther. Personally, if you asked me to fill out my personal Oscar ballot, I would personally put Spider-Man No Way Home on Best Picture. But that doesn't mean that I am upset that it's not among the 10. Do I think it's better than maybe the majority of the films nominated? Yes. But that doesn't mean that, like, I think the issue here is that there's so many movies that don't get nominated for Best Picture that people love, and film is subjective, and you're going to have a different opinion than somebody else. I know that I hated Don't Look Up, but I know Ben, who's one of our panelists here, loves it, and it's one of his favorite movies of the year. So I know that he's happy that that one's in there the same way that some people may not like Power of the Dog. I love it, and I'm glad it's nominated. So it's all subjective. And I think what we lose why do we talk so much about Spider-Man? If you're asking the general public who's on social media, who's seeing these headlines about the best in film of 2021, their year in 2021 film may only be Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And so to them, it is without a doubt their favorite movie-going experience. That is what they'll immortalize 2021 in because they just had a more limited crop of film. And I don't think that lessens their experience with it and they're wanting to get it nominated. So I think that's the other thing too. There are so many, like we could talk about, Pig, Nicolas Cage not getting in.
Yeah.
Or Tick, Tick, Boom not getting in. At the same volume that we talk about Spider-Man, it's just more people have seen Spider-Man, therefore more people have an opinion regarding Spider-Man. So in the end, I don't mind, like people are allowed to say that they think Spider-Man should be nominated for Best Picture. I think the Oscars should not create this whole because whether Cinderella wins or not, this was created to try and honor Spider-Man during the ceremony. And it's like, listen, this movie is, just because more people saw it and more people are talking about it, like there are a lot of movies that didn't get nominated who deserve this. I don't think Spider-Man, just because it made money, needs this special moment. I mean, the money is
No.
enough. It's gonna maybe cross 2 billion. I think the rumors are they're releasing an extended cut of the film next month, and so that might
Oh,
get it to 2 billion. So like that is the reward. And yeah, I just if people want to nominate it and people love it and they want to talk about it, like I don't begrudge people talking about how much they love the movie. But I do think that the Oscars just can't placate into that feeling. They can't be like, well, people are talking about Spider-Man, so let's give it a place in the show. As much as again,
yeah,
I love it and I personally would have nominated it. It's just I think we have a whole disconnect where I think we like to fight and critique in our discourse instead of just allowing people to love what they love and just move on. It's amazing
yeah,
how many people who don't like Marvel and don't like to talk about Marvel continually like to bring it up.
yeah.
And
And
that
how
also surprises me.
most of these Marvel people who are like upset that Spider-Man is not going to be nominated are like, oh, it'll get people to tune in. But then if you really ask these people if Spider-Man was nominated, I think most of them still would not tune in to the Oscars. They probably just
No.
catch it on social media afterwards. So,
The
and
only
also,
thing that I think they could have done to get people to maybe tune in is if you had all three Spider-Man's hosts. That was the
yeah,
only thing Spider-Man wise that could have gotten him in. Nobody's going to care because nobody actually, I would be shocked if anybody who saw Spider-Man No Way Home nominated would actually think it would win. And
yeah,
besides, again, if you can watch this on YouTube or Twitter 2 minutes after it happens, why tune in to watch your favorites lose? So
yeah.
I don't get it. I don't know personally. I don't know why we're spending so much time. And I'm not critiquing our discussion of it,
Oh,
but in the
no.
general populace, I don't know why we're spending so much time on this. Some people loved it. It was a once in a lifetime cinematic experience. I mean, not some people. A lot of people did. I among them. And if they want to honor it, go for it. I don't think the Oscars need to pay attention to that. Their academy chose not to nominate it, and that's fine. The point of the Oscars, I think, is also to raise awareness for smaller films so that they can receive the same attention. When we talk about Parasite winning Best Picture, and the next day, libraries had 200 people on the waiting list to get the DVDs. That's the power that the
Mhm.
Academy Awards have, and why I think they can do good work. Spider-Man doesn't necessarily need that. And so I was
No.
fine with it getting Best Picture. So we don't need to just keep relitigating it and talking about it and talking about it instead of talking about the movies that are nominated, like Drive My Car, Worst Person in the World, that now could build up some awareness and get people to pay attention to those films.
Yeah, yeah. And at the end of the day, the Oscars aren't the end all be all. Like when you look back on many past years in movie history, most of the movies that are like most well known for that year didn't win or get nominated for Best Picture. So at the end of the day, they're not the end all be all of this all.
Yeah, Spider-Man is still the same as it was the day before the nominations, as the day after. So is Power of the Dog.
Yeah,
It doesn't change the movie because again, movies are very personal. Your reaction to them is personal. It's a personal experience, and I don't. I think the Oscars don't understand what their purpose is now, and maybe that's because they're lost in like the 21st century and trying to stay relevant. But we're just in a completely different world. We're not in the days of Titanic and Forrest Gump winning Best Picture, and I just think they have to. I think they just have to recognize that, and they have to make their peace with it. The same way that everybody else makes their peace that with whatever other sector of the film world. I feel like a lot of times when we argue about the state of cinema as of today, it's a lot of people who just aren't recognizing where film is in this current moment. And they're trying to hold on to some past version of it that they were comfortable with. When it's like, we're changing, you just got to go with it. You can be a little upset or you can say, I don't like this, but in the end, this is how it is. And I think it's ridiculous to try and move backwards.
yeah. And I do think because the industry is continually changing, especially the past few years, I do think if you look at the Academy, the actual people who are voting and getting the not voting these people in for nominations, I do think those people are changing with the industry. When you look at stuff like Drive My Car being nominated, a bunch of movies that are on streaming still being nominated because they don't really care if it's in streaming or in theaters. This is a decision by the ABC executives. This isn't a decision by the Academy executives. This isn't the Academy as a whole, their decision. Um, and I do you think they're going to go through like if they look at the tallied votes and Cinderella has won, I think that's kind of embarrassing, just a little bit. Do you think they like are gonna go through with this year and then in following years afterwards? Do
Oh,
you
this
think
is
this
a
will be?
1 year and done. I can't. I just think that at this point they don't want to seem completely like. I remember the 2019 ceremony where they announced things and then went back. It was so embarrassing, and I think they're just
Yes.
going to stick to it. And yeah, if Cinderella wins, and it's going to be. I mean, everybody will be then tweeting about Spider-Man the next day, and it just
Yeah.
listen. I feel like this has been it's making people more aware of the issues that the Academy has with how they are going about their ceremony. And maybe it's ABC more than the Academy. But
I think
it's
so.
just at this point, let's just move on. Spider-Man is at 1.8 billion, Doctor Strange 2 is in 2.5 months. And let's just if you love Spider-Man, guess what? You got another movie in 2 months, probably with Tobey Maguire. Who knows? Um, and it's just like let's just drop it because I don't again there are so many movies that don't get nominated in so many categories. I don't know why we're spending more time on this one other than the fact that more people saw this one, which I get why then they would, but I don't understand why the Academy is spending more time on this movie than any other nominee.
It's
um
odd. Yeah.
yeah.
Odd decisions by those executives up there. I personally cast my Oscars fan favorite ballot for Mass, so that's definitely going to help. I'm probably one of like 10 people to do that, so that's nice. Yeah, so that's Oscars fan favorite. Anything else on that or good? Okay, so now on the same day they also announced our Oscar hosts, which are Amy Schumer, Regina Hall, and Wanda Sykes. Interesting group of people, not much connection between them. Reportedly, it's one person will host for each hour of the 3 hour ceremony. So they won't even be together most of the time. They'll have their own chunk of time that they're going to host. Reportedly, they went for the Only Murders in the Building crew, Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez. And the scheduling conflicts, for some reason, it couldn't happen. I don't know. Move the Oscars date for them. I mean, I feel like that's like that's a big get, I think, or at least like lock them in for next year or something. Like that
I
would
think
have
they
been
also
great.
approached The Rock. I think they approached Dwayne Johnson too. They approached a lot of people. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
thankless job. No, like
no one's gonna take this. People are like, why didn't you get like The Rock and Kevin Hart or like Scarlett Johansson and like Tom Holland and like even though Tom Holland said he would do it, I think if they did approach him, I think his agents probably talked to him about it and he's probably like, no, thank you. I don't think many people with that caliber are going to take this job because it is thankless. But in terms of these hosts, I mean, I think it's a good crop of people. I know people don't like Amy Schumer. I'm fine with her. I don't have any issues with her. Regina Hall and Wanda Sykes, I like both of them. I'm happy for Regina Hall. I did just see a movie she was in recently, Master. She was really good in it. So I hope that they'll plug that movie during the ceremony. But yeah, this is a good crew. I mean, I would have had I would have preferred the Only Murders in the Building crew or someone else, but at the end of the day, if they do a good job, then they do a good job. I think they can all do a good job. What do you
yeah,
think?
I mean, as far as if they were going to do the Only Murders crew, I wouldn't want them separated in
You'd want them
three.
together. Yeah.
Want them together. Which I'm still wondering, like, will they start the show? Like, like we're not going to get three monologues for each of them.
I hope not. No.
So I imagine maybe they'll all three start the show like Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, Maya Rudolph started the 2019 ceremony after the Queen tribute concert.
Yeah, I would have liked
And
that
then
crew
they'll
too.
split up. Yeah, I mean that Tina and Amy know, like they've done it 4 times now for the Golden Globes. I
They're
think
really good.
they're great, but I do think they're like, all right, I can't keep doing this. Like
Yeah.
I have to, you know. Um, but yeah, they're great. Of course, they're great. They've never done the Oscars though, which I think is telling. I think they play better in. Well, to be fair though, their opening for the Oscars was great, but they never hosted through,
Yeah.
which is interesting because I feel like were prime fodder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with Amy Schumer. I know a lot of people do, but I didn't see Trainwreck. I did see Snatched, and I saw I Feel Pretty, and they were both fine. I thought she was good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am not opposed to her, and I think this could be a nice way, especially because I mean, we'll see. Maybe people will just watch to critique her, or they won't even watch and critique her. But I don't. This could be a nice environment for her to try and get some awareness for her. Maybe ingratiate herself into the industry in a better
Yeah.
way. Um, Regina Hall is an interesting choice because I don't think of her first as like a stand-up comic. I
No.
know her from Girls Trip, and I know a lot of people know her from Scary Movie. Um, but she's still, I think, listen, she's obviously friends with Will Packer, who's
Yeah.
producing the show, and I don't think he would have hung his friend out to dry. So I'm interested in the choice of her. And
I
I
wonder if
saw,
Tiffany Haddish was possible because she
yeah,
was
I
in
mean,
Girls Trip too.
Tiffany Haddish and Maya Rudolph were great when they presented an award, I think for the 2018 ceremony. I think it was
Yeah.
18.
I wouldn't
Um,
see Tiffany Haddish saying no either. I feel like that's something she would do, but maybe she wouldn't.
Possibly. But yeah, I think Regina Hall is very funny. I saw a great tweet saying if they don't recreate the Nicole Kidman
Yeah,
AMC ad with her as Brenda Meeks from Scary Movie, I was like, that'd be somebody's got to do it. So
they
if
do.
nobody does it, I'm going to be very upset. Um, And then Wanda Sykes is just really funny. I think she'll be
Yeah,
great. She seems like the most comfortable in this environment, and I think she'll do great. I'm interested. I'm going to predict that
she's
Wanda.
first. I would think she
I
would
would
start.
Wanda starts maybe
I'd have
Regina second.
I don't
I mean,
know.
it could go either way. I think.
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
say Wanda should start.
yeah. I'd probably put Amy Schumer in the middle, but I do definitely think you probably start with your strongest foot, which would probably be hosting wise Wanda.
As far as the monologue goes, I think she could do that type of monologue the best. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm interested. Listen, I whether it's with the host or without a host, I don't have a preference. I think I love the host monologues, but at the same time, the ceremonies that didn't have hosts really clicked along. So
yeah,
I'm fine with whatever in terms of this, and I think they're three funny ladies. So I think it'll be fun.
yeah, yeah. So those are the Oscar hosts. Looking forward to see what they do with the ceremony. I'm sure it'll be all good. Um, Now, the SAG Awards are, as of recording, a week from today, the 27th of February. So, this is our really last shot, at least here on Weekly Oscar Talk, to give our final predictions for who will win. This is really, besides the Golden Globes, one of our first major ceremonies where we're going to get winners. I
I
think
would
it'll
say it
be,
is our first
yeah,
because it's the first time we're going to see speeches too, which is
yeah,
very important.
yeah. So, it's going to be a very important ceremony. And yeah, starting off with the overall SAG ensemble, who do you think is going to win this? I'm a little conflicted here. I would say Coda is kind of like the Minari this year, in terms of like I don't know. I would say it's probably the runner-up, but I do think when you look at who wins, it's often the people with the larger cast with more names and all that. So I would say I'd probably go with Don't Look Up right now as winning.
Oh wow! Oh god.
It's got the
um,
largest cast and the biggest names. I mean,
yeah, I mean, listen, I think that is a way to do this is to go for the biggest cast. Doesn't always work out, but
no.
often it's a good strategy. Personally, I am caught between Belfast and Coda. I think those are two movies that are generally well received. I think King Richard is the other movie that's well received generally among everybody, every branch. But
Mhm.
I think that film is purely a Will Smith vehicle, and especially for the SAG Awards where Anjanou Ellis is not nominated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excuse me. So I see Belfast and Coda. It's a fight between the two of them, and yeah, House of Gucci and Don't Look Up. I just don't see happening. I think they're too broad and too all over the place for people to really get behind. And I don't think we've ever seen a Don't Look Up style. I mean, maybe you can argue that Hidden Figures taking down Moonlight was that, but I still think that Hidden Figures. I think that was still like because often, and I'm going to get to this with Coda, the ensembles represent like diversity or a an advancement in the ensemble and what they represent, and I think that's what
Yeah.
Hidden Figures represented. because I think, and also Hidden Figures hit at the right time because it came out around, I think it came late. So it really, and it was a box office hit. So that helped that one. So that's why I don't think Don't Look Up can take that path personally.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's between Coda and Belfast, we have, I think, both. So we have two individual acting nominations for Belfast with Kieran Hines and Katrina Balfe here, compared to the one nomination for Troy Kotsur.
Yeah.
That makes me think Belfast has more overall appeal. But at the same time, I think Coda, with the deaf actors working there, I imagine it would be the first time a partially deaf ensemble would win. That may work in its favor. The same way that we saw Parasite win, the same way that we saw Black Panther win. You know, a lot of times they go for the ensemble that represents a difference in ensemble, and the representation of that ensemble being something that is important for the industry to recognize. And I also think Coda is on the rise. I think Coda is improving. So it's tough because I look at the Oscars and Belfast had 7 nominations compared to Coda's 3. So that makes me think that there's more love for Belfast overall. But within the SAG specific, I think Coda is going to win.
I could definitely see that happening. I don't think the ensemble is large enough. In most cases, it's a larger ensemble that does win. There are cases like Parasite where none of the people were nominated, and that's, I think, more of the like cultural zeitgeist kind of thing. I do think I would go either Don't Look Up. I don't think Belfast is going to win, to be honest. I don't think it's strong enough currently.
I think that's the most traditional ensemble, which could help it.
Yeah.
Carl the Chicago 7 was a very traditional ensemble in that one last year.
That had much bigger names, though, I think.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I think that Belfast would be your, like, traditional acting. It's when you think of an acting ensemble, I think that's the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition of an acting ensemble.
Yeah, definitely.
And I know it missed editing and I think production design and cinematography, right? I think it missed 3. Above the line, it got director, it got picture, it got 2 acting, and it got screenplay. So like it is well regarded. So I wouldn't count it out of winning this.
Yeah. I would say I'd probably say Don't Look Up or King Richard, to be honest. One of those two is where I would lean. You're leaning Belfast or Coda?
Yeah. So you think what was your second? You're leaning King Richard, maybe?
Don't Look Up or King Richard, would be the two I would lean.
Because I believe Coda has an ensemble of 6. Because it's the family, Eugenio Derbez, and then Fredia Walsh Pilo. King Richard, I'm just looking up how many people are in the ensembles. King Richard's ensemble is made up of, let's see here, SAG. Okay. John Perthal, Antonio Ellis, Tony Goldwyn. 6 people. 2.
Yeah, same size. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me check House of Gucci here, because I think you make up a good point. It's the size of the ensemble maybe does matter, because if people are voting for the ensemble, they're voting for more like a total group. And because we'll get into supporting actor with Troy Kotsur, that let's see. Yeah. SAG 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 for House of Gucci. So they're all around 6 or 7, save for Don't Look Up. So maybe Don't Look Up stands out. Maybe that is the path forward because it's the one with the most people. But at the same time, just the movie is so divisive that I just can't.
It is amongst the pub. It is amongst like at least the Twitter bubble. And the public. It doesn't seem like it's that divisive amongst the like people voting for these awards, though. It's getting in most places.
It's getting in, but like it has no individual acting nominations anywhere except BAFTA for Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't think acting is what you think of with Don't Look Up. I think it's more the satire, the comedy. It just, that doesn't seem to me like a movie, unless everything else splits the vote.
Yeah.
That's the only way I could see Don't Look Up actually getting through. But again, it is a large ensemble. It's the most different of these movies. So maybe you have that. Let's put it this way. I would say it's third in my predictions. I think it's
Yeah.
ahead of Hasaguchi and King Richard. But I think there's a larger jump from Don't Look Up to Belfast.
Yeah. I'd actually probably say Don't Look Up or Coda now that I think about it.
Okay. Woohoo.
One of those two. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
There.
That's pretty
So
much it
that's
for
Ensemble.
ensemble. Yeah. So now Best Actor. Um, I would say Smith is probably going to win here. I don't think Cumberbatch is going to win. This doesn't seem like the kind of place he could win. And I think Garfield has a slight shot because it is a very beloved performance and it's also very actor friendly. Um, but I just do think most people, because the people voting for this aren't all actors either. There's like some radio broadcasters, there's social media influencers. So I do think seeing Will Smith on that, I see more people voting for Will Smith than I do for Garfield here. So I do think he's going to take this one.
Yeah, I think Andrew Garfield is becoming the Ryan Gosling of this season,
Yeah.
where he's of course beloved in the performance, and in another year he might have won for La La Land, but he just was constantly third,
Yeah.
behind Denzel in Fences and Casey Affleck in Manchester by the Sea. And that's just where I feel he's at, especially now with the Best Picture omission for Tick Tick Boom. I just think that like people love him and they respect him, and he'll get another nomination down the line. Um, I think Will Smith has a stronger chance here than at the Oscars. I am predicting him here because I think there's a lot of love for him in the community.
Yeah.
But I also will not rule out that if you want to vote for Power of the Dog, you can't do it in Ensemble. So maybe it shows up stronger in the individual acting nominations because it's not like you can give Benedict like Ensemble.
Hmm.
I will say that's a possibility, but I think Will Smith is going to win here. And I think this might end up being his only win. Because if I think personally, if Benedict's going to win the Oscar, and he might win the BAFTA, but
I think he's
I
going to
don't
win the BAFTA. Yeah.
I don't see Will Smith winning the BAFTA. So this may be Will Smith's only award this season, this major
Yeah.
award, maybe Critics' Choice. But yeah, it'll be interesting. But yeah, I definitely, and then Javier Bardem and Denzel Washington, it's an honor to be nominated.
Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah. So yeah, Smith is what I'm going with there. Best Actress. This is probably the trickiest of them all, honestly. Um, I'll let you go first then. What do you have winning?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Um, all right, I'm going to do this from like bottom to top. Jennifer Hudson, it's not happening.
No.
No way. Nobody's talking about that movie. It's 2.5 hours, and I feel like a lot of people, like
Came
when
out
they
in
go to the
August.
portal,
Yeah.
are going to be like, I'm not in the mood for this.
No.
Which is unfortunate, but that's just how this works. Lady Gaga, no, no way. I don't see it happening. Well, okay.
I'd put her above
She
Coleman
got an
though.
ensemble nomination. I guess I think this is her strongest place. I don't think BAFTA is going for this performance. So this is her strongest place to win somewhere.
Yeah.
But I still don't think she's got a real chance because I feel like she doesn't seem like an Emily Blunt where like everybody loves her but she can't break through to the Oscar stage, so we're going to honor her here like she won with Best Supporting Actress for A Quiet Place. I think Lady Gaga, many people within the industry, I've seen interviews and they talk about punditry, and they talk about how they think she's fake. And so I think within the industry, I don't think she's gotten to the place where she's this well-respected actor yet.
Yeah.
Um,
I do think this is the most friendly crowd to her though, in terms of the people who are voting. It's much more general public crowd than a lot of these other awards. So I do think she's got a better shot here.
and I felt that way about the Golden Globes. I was like, if anybody's going to give her a Golden
Yeah,
Globe,
that's not really the general public though. That's like a specific group of people. And I think
yeah.
they're trying to be a little better with who they have
But
won.
I'm just saying, when A Star Is Born happened, like Lady Gaga won for American Horror Story, and I think everybody was like, "Well, of course the Globes are going to go for Gaga," and then they did it. So I feel like that's what this reminds me of. It's like this would be the organization to go for her, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
then the top three, and I can't call this. Nicole Kidman is benefiting from playing a figure of the industry that is beloved in the same way that Rami Malek was playing a beloved figure. And that, I think, could be the secret sauce to her winning. I also think people may think that she's due for something like this. Like she hasn't had a movie like this perform like this. Like Lion,
Mm.
she got nominated, but she was like not in contention for that.
No.
So, and I also think the Amazon Prime factor, I think a lot of people saw this one, which I think is helping her.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do think there might be a bit of an IOU with Olivia Colman because she did not win here for The Favorite. However, did she win last year for The Crown? Let me look this up.
I'm
Because if
not
she won
sure.
on TV, I feel like that's the other thing. I feel like Olivia Colman,
I
I,
just can't
I
see her
don't
winning.
know. Yeah, I don't know how much of an IOU they have for her because again, she just wins so much for so
Yeah.
many different.
And this movie and this performance, at least in my opinion, does not appeal to the SAG as much as it would to, like, say, BAFTA or even the Oscars, which I think are more
Yeah.
open to more subtle, nuanced
Uh,
performance.
yeah, and Jessie Buckley's not nominated here like she is at the Oscars, which is again making me think that overall they're not as high on the movie.
Yeah.
Let's see, SAG Awards. She won Outstanding Performance by an Ensemble Cast in a Drama Series 2 years in a row. Is that true?
Probably for the Crown, yeah. Because they won last year, and
Yeah,
I
they
do
won
think they
two
won
years
the
in a
year
row.
before.
So yeah, I don't. That would be my only argument is that they maybe feel like she has an IOU, but I don't think that's at this point. I don't think anybody feels they owe anything to Olivia Colman. She is the new
No,
Meryl for this generation,
she's doing good.
and she's just going to continue to get nominated. And then there's Jessica Chastain. If people see the movie, I think they are blown away. I truly feel
Yeah,
that. The
I would have.
ending, especially, she gets her whole Judy moment on stage
Yeah,
singing and all the makeup. I think they're blown away.
yeah. I I have her as my number one here. A little bit of Nicole Kidman would be my number two, then Lady Gaga would be my three, then Olivia Colman, then Jennifer Hudson. I think Chastain is that nice mix of one of the. I don't think it's quite as like broad and like campy as say Lady Gaga's is. I think it has more credibility in terms of that performance than Lady Gaga's did, and I do think it's just like, as you can see by the nominations, they love their biopics, they love that kind of thing, and I do think she's she's a little more showy than most of these other people besides Lady Gaga. And I do,
Chastain.
yeah, Chastain. Um, and when I'm considering putting her in winning at the Oscars too, just because of that single acting nomination and single makeup nomination that happens a few times with a lot of these other movies, at least Judy, and then it wasn't just their only nominations, but Gary Oldman in The Darkest Hour. So they do like their actor paired up with makeup. So I'm gonna lean Chastain here, but I could easily see it being Kidman too. But those would be the only two I would consider.
I would definitely say they're the top two here at least.
Yeah,
And the other thing too with Chastain is she didn't win for Zero Dark 30. Jennifer Lawrence took that
yeah,
for Silver Linings Playbook. So, and I do feel there might be just like this is her Revenant. This I think we might not perceive it as such because it came out early. Like imagine if Eyes of Tammy Faye came out like a month ago.
yeah.
I feel
That
like
would
we
be
might
better.
perceive it differently because Jessica Chastain has been doing great work for a long time now, and she's transformative in this role. It has all the things that they love actors, the makeup and the
Yep.
hair and the accent, and it's an emotional performance, and it gets your showy. Like the clips for Tammy Faye are great. And then what I talked about earlier on another episode is I think what's great about her performance is she doesn't mock Tammy Faye. It's a
No.
performance with a lot of dignity and integrity on both her and Andrew Garfield's behalf as Tammy Faye and Jim Baker. So again, it's like I also, because this is an organization that also does television. It's not the Oscars.
And isn't she nominated on the TV side, or is she not? I don't
Chastain,
think
no.
she. No, Oscar Isaac was. Yeah.
What I'm saying is like Nicole Kidman has, I guarantee you, one for Big Little Lies. I mean, I can do
Oh,
this.
absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
why, like, this group may not feel that Nicole Kidman, like, it's been a long time for Nicole Kidman. Like, she probably won and got on that stage a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a quick search to make sure, but because it might have been a limited series, so I don't think ensemble wise they got up.
Oh,
Um,
that's true. They
but
also had the second season too, which I think was a juicier season for her performance-wise than the first season.
oh, that's interesting. All right, let's see. But yeah, so I feel like I might go Chastain here, and I think whoever wins this, I think has a path.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
going to be the most interesting race, and I think this
BAFTA
will,
won't help.
yeah.
And then
Um,
Critics' Choice is kind of they just try and predict what the Oscars do. So I don't know how helpful they'll be.
yes, I agree. Okay, I'm behind a year. Hang on. Let's see. Did Nicole Kidman win? Yes, she won for Big Little Lies season 1. So
Yeah.
I just I feel like maybe that's the case. Maybe they feel because Olivia Colman and Nicole Kidman are also TV darlings, and they've won recently for TV. Where Jessica Chastain, has she ever won a SAG award?
I don't think so. Maybe
Like
for an ensemble, but I don't think for an individual. Maybe the help one ensemble.
maybe. But the other thing too is, are they thinking about this? Are they really thinking like
I don't know
who
how much they
deserves?
think
Yeah.
about that. Yeah. Especially because a lot of the people voting, as I've said, are more general public people. They probably don't have wide knowledge of who's won and who hasn't.
Mhm.
So
So let's see. Screen Actors Guild. She won with the ensemble of the help. So very good
yeah.
on that. This is her fourth nomination. And
And
her
she's doing the
third,
campaigning too.
yeah, her third individual nomination. So yeah, I'm gonna go with, I do think in terms of this, we have a lot of similar performances that are very much like prosthetic and makeup and accents. And if I'm gonna pick one, I think for this ceremony, I will lean Jessica Chastain.
Yes. Me as well. Yeah. So now, best supporting actress. Um, I mean, I feel like this is Ariana DeBose, right? I mean, she's going everywhere. I don't see anything else happening. Do you? Do you think Kirsten Dunst is happening?
First off, we should note that they do outstanding performance by a female actor. They keep the actor name, how they name these categories. Which
Uh,
um,
yeah.
Here's the thing: West Side Story should have gotten in for Ensemble. The fact that it didn't,
That's a screener issue, though. I think most of the people voting have
okay,
seen it
but
by now.
I, I still think that there might be a sentiment. Again, this if Ariana DeBose wins this, I think she's got it because at
Yeah.
this point,
This is the biggest hurdle.
this is I think her biggest hurdle. And I love her. I hate keeping doing this, but just something in me, I'm like, are they really going to vote for the same performance? Because I really do feel
Yeah.
it's the same performance. I don't think that these
I think it's better.
performances, it might be better. And I think partly because the whole movie is more authentic, and also we're just more akin to modern tastes of cinema. And so I think we relate to this movie more. But I look at the performance that Rita Moreno gave that won her the Oscar and would have probably won her a SAG if they were around in the 60s.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I look at this and I'm like, there isn't that much different going on here. It's yes, maybe it's better. Maybe again,
I think it's
subjective.
much more layered, too. I don't know. That's just me.
That might be. It might also be Tony Kushner's script.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm just like, I don't, especially within the acting community, I feel like Kristen Dunst is beloved. I feel like she has been like you see like I think Kristen Stewart when they were doing one of those actor roundtables, they were like, "What actor do you want to work with?" And in front of Kirsten Dunst said, "I want to work with Kirsten Dunst." So
Yeah.
like I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of people really love her. I think they like this movie. I think this is definitely the front runner for Best Picture. So people are watching this one. And the fact that Ariana DeBose is out there alone, no other nomination for West Side Story, makes me think that maybe there isn't as much support for this film within the SAG branch. Maybe it was a screener issue that now has been fixed and people have seen it. But again, I'm going to stick with Kirsten Dunst until I'm told otherwise.
Yeah,
And if Ariana DeBose wins this, I might switch for the Oscars to Ariana DeBose. But at this point, I think a lot of people, their love for her is making them predict her, when I feel the overall industry is going to give it to the actor that they've known, that they've been around, that they know they've done great work, and this being their first chance to award her in a movie that I think is more well-regarded overall, I'm going to stick with Kirsten Dunst.
I could see that. I think they've seen the movie by now, and I do think when you look at both performances, Ariana DeBose's is much more showy, and to me personally, at least, better than at least Kirsten Dunst's performance. Kirsten Dunst disappears during the second half of the movie for like a large chunk. I do think she's easily the number 2 at every ceremony behind Ariana DeBose, but Ariana DeBose just feels like a sweeper to me.
I mean, just look at the people they have given this award to in the past. Yoo Jun-yoon for Minari, over like Glenn Close for Hillbilly Elegy, the more showy performance. You know, they gave it to Laura Dern over Jennifer Lopez. They gave it to Allison Janney over, or Allison Janney? Yes, they gave it to Allison Janney. Like, I feel like a lot of times we expect
those are all showy performances, though, I think.
Yoo Jun-yoon was not a showy performance.
I don't think
I think Jennifer Lopez was a much showier performance than
that was an odd category that year, though, supporting actress.
What, Laura Dern's or Yoo Jun-yoon?
Yoo Jung-yoon. That was odd last year.
Yeah, I'll give you, using 2020 as a benchmark for any of this, I will give you. But I think, again, like Jennifer Lopez, that's a showy performance that lost to Laura Dern. Granted, she had one monologue. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of times we expect them to go showy, where I don't know if that's always the case. I feel like a lot of times it's the more emotional performances, it's the more nuanced work. And again, I find it hard to believe that this is the only person who I feel like nobody knew a year ago, and she's going to just walk away with this. Where everybody else in this category, people were aware of them.
I mean, that's happened before. I think I shouldn't just say her performance is just showy. I think her performance is very nuanced and layered. It has a lot of emotions. Plus, she's, along with doing incredible acting, she's singing and she's dancing, which I think is much more difficult than what anyone else in this category.
The degree of difficulty is high, and I love the performance. Again, I don't know, and maybe you're right. Maybe I'm looking at this a different way. Maybe she is the Allison Janney to Kirsten Dunst's Laurie Metcalf, and this is what is going to happen. I don't know. It's just something about it just feels like.
No, I can definitely see it.
They never do. I don't know why. I just feel like they won't do it. And they're going to go the other way. Like, this is the same category that didn't nominate Regina King and then gave it to Emily Blunt over Amy Adams. So this category, I feel like, usually is odd. And I think this is what's going to happen. And especially, we're going to get into supporting actor. If we think Will Smith is winning, let's say male actor, and maybe Troy Kotsur wins supporting. Let's say that. And then maybe something else wins ensemble. Let's say it because they take care of Coda in this category. I feel like Power of the Dog has to show up somewhere, and this might be where it shows up with one of the more. I mean, Kirsten Dunst has had a longer career, I think, than Benedict Cumberbatch at this point. At least she's been more in the public eye. So they may feel like she is the person. She is going to be the win for the Power of the Dog.
I do also think it slightly hurts West Side Story that it hits Disney Plus the weekend after this. So it's not going to be streaming beforehand. It'll be streaming for the Oscars, but it won't be streaming for this. So,
I don't know. I feel like, as we said, there are examples of showy performances winning here. There are examples of smaller performances winning here. I think those are the two that are in contention. The other three don't have a chance.
I wish Ruth Negga did, but no.
Yeah. But, yeah, I'm going to stick with Kirsten. I'm going to stick with her.
Could pay off. We shall see. And then supporting actor here. I've been saying it all season. Koi Smith-McPhee is not winning. I'm sorry, people. He's not winning. Troy Kotsur is going to win here. And that will be the trajectory that takes him all the way to the Oscars, because he's going to give an amazing speech. People are going to be like, wow. Troy Kotsur.
Yeah, the more we get closer to these awards, the more I think this is going to be a moment where like now, speaking of Yoo Jun Yoon, this is your Yoo Jun Yoon
Yeah.
because this is a performance that will come around only once. They're not going to ever come back. I don't think. I mean,
Cody
no,
Smith McPhee will have plenty of other chances.
he's young, and I think the other thing too is that his performance is so like. Spoiler alert for The Power of the Dog. I apologize, but I have to go here. 3, 2, 1. Some people don't leave the movie not realizing that he killed Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah,
like
that was his plan.
His performance is so nuanced and so subtle, and it's brilliant. I just rewatched it. I went to a theater. It was brilliant to watch his performance again. It's very layered. I don't know if you're seeing that all on first viewing, and even if so, I think Troy Kotsur is just this, like, you're not going to get another time to honor an actor like this. And so I feel that, and he's also the most different. I think Cody Smith McPhee, we've seen performances like that. It doesn't lessen his great work, but we've seen nuanced, subtle work. Troy Kotsur, he's funny, he's dramatic, he's
makes you cry,
which I think is helpful. And I also think people want to see that speech. I think they want to see what he says. I imagine he'll have an interpreter, but it just, I think they want to see him up on that stage. And so I'm going to predict him, which again strengthens my Kirsten Dunst argument, because then I think Kirsten Dunst will be the win for Power of the Dog.
Do you have Troy Kotsur at the Oscars too? Are you joining the light side?
I don't know about that one yet, because the Oscars are different. The Oscars are very different.
They're more friendly to that performance.
Remember when Mahershala Ali won for Moonlight, he did that brilliant "I am a Muslim" speech, and that put him on the path. Let's see his speech. If Troy gives a great speech, which he probably could,
he's going to.
He will if he wins. That could change the path. But again, the Academy, I mean, they like Power of the Dog here. The Academy love Power of the Dog, so they may give it to Cody. I still think Cody has a chance. I'm not going to be surprised if he wins, but as of now, I think there's more love for Troy, which again, I think strengthens my Kirsten Dunst argument, but also may dampen my Ensemble argument, because then that maybe they vote for Belfast because they're voting Coda here. They may spread the love this year.
Maybe, yeah. So I'm glad you're predicting Troy joining the right side, as you should. Yes. So then the final one, Best Stunt Ensemble. I think it's either Dune or No Time to Die here, right?
I'm going to say No Time to Die. I think that is a more clearly, like,
stunt movie,
action movie. Like Dune, I think a lot of people say, like, even the people who love it will say it's a little slow paced, and like it's, it's not like this thrilling event like No Time to Die is. And so I think it's just clearer work. And just to give me a quick rundown of this category in the past.
Last year was Wonder Woman, I believe.
Last year was Wonder Woman won both times. It was it was up, which is great for that film.
Interesting.
Let me see. 20 Stunt Ensemble.
Was it Endgame the year before? I don't think so.
Let's see. Yes, it was Endgame the year before, Black Panther the year before that, Wonder Woman the year before that, Hacksaw Ridge the year before that, Mad Max. So they tend to go with the more action-heavy movie rather than maybe like the movie that is.
Did Mad Max have any very stunty opposition? Because I do think Dune is very Mad Max-esque.
Mad Max is like a car chase throughout it. There's explosions. Like there's a lot of more stunt work.
Yeah, that's true.
The thing people had wrong, the critiques of Mad Max were that it was all action.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I think all these movies are like, you think of the action first. And I think that's the case with No Time to Die. And I also think there is a lot of love for Daniel Craig's Bond era, and they might want to honor it. Also, in the SAG portal, No Time to Die is there. So they're obviously pushing it more than I feel like you often see from the Stunt Awards. Yeah,
so, it's done well this season too. This is the only place they could honor Dune, though, if they do like Dune.
That's true, and that could benefit. And then the other three, again, it's an honor to be nominated.
Yes, it is indeed. Yeah, so that's SAG. That's all the categories. Any final thoughts on that?
It's sure to be interesting. I think the acting races are by far the most interesting races this year. And I think even no matter who wins here, maybe if Nicole Kidman wins, you kind of maybe have a marker for where that's going.
And
Uh,
DeBose, I think, if
and
she
DeBose. I
wins.
think the women, if the women go the way that many people think they're going to go with Kidman and DeBose, I think those are kind of tightened up. I don't think
Yeah.
100%, but I think they're kind of tightened up. Same with Cody. If Cody wins SAG, I think we're done. So, and if Benedict wins SAG, I think we might be done too. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. I think there's a lot of, but at the same time, I think Benedict could win SAG, and then maybe Will takes the Oscar. It's such an interesting race this year among the actors, and it's really exciting. That's what I think makes this SAG ceremony so interesting, because not only are they really first to go in terms of the industry awards, but it's solely centered around the hardest races to call.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
If
I'll be tuning in.
if Cody does win, I do think that cements him. I think this is Troy Kotzer's last shot here, probably. And I think he's the only one who
Yeah.
can compete against him. So yeah.
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 So we'll have to see. I don't think there's a host for this, is there?
I don't believe so, no. I know it is next Sunday. And yeah. They're definitely
And
streaming it.
so we will, yes. And so we will probably, our next episode will be reacting to the SAG winners.
Breaking it down.
And then maybe updating our Oscar predictions based on
Who's
how
gonna win?
SAG's going.
Yeah.
Yes. It's very
There are some
exciting.
interesting categories.
Yeah. I think we have 5 weeks until the Oscars. So it's crazy, man. Time flies.
It is. There are some unique tech categories that I'm looking forward to breaking down. I do think just one of them, cinematography, I think Power of the Dog is going to win that, in my opinion. Switch from Dune to Power of the Dog.
Interesting.
We will have time to discuss that in the future.
Definitely. Also, just a side note, if you haven't yet, go see The Worst Person in the World. I'm so happy we put it in our we considered it for a bunch of our awards, because Ben had seen it, the other two of us have not, and we took his word for it, and I'm so happy we did, because it is, I think it's second to Power of the Dog for my favorite movie of the year, with Drive My Car rounding out my top 3. So it's a fantastic film. Go see it in the theater. It's really, really wonderful. It's like the best romance movie in the last 5 years. It's really, really great.
How was Drive My Car? You were able to see that?
Yeah, they put it in a theater. They also released it in a couple, like the AMC theater that's near my place put it in. So I think it's steadily rolling out again. So, but that was extraordinary. It really felt like 2 hours. It felt like somewhere an hour was lost. That's how fast and really engaged it was. So all wonderful films. Side note, go see Worst Person in the World and Drive My Car. They're great.
I wish I could. I'm excited for Drive My Car to hit HBO Max soon in a few weeks.
Yes, I'm
Who
very
knows
happy.
what's the worst person in the world?
Which I will say, because I know we were talking about Spider-Man earlier. I think streaming also is a big time. We'll talk about this next week, given that we have a Netflix movie as the front runner. That's what I think streaming is great for, because it's raising awareness for movies that people would not have been able to see or would not have gone and seen.
Yeah,
I guarantee you so many more people saw Power of the Dog than they would have, because it was on their Netflix screens. Same thing with The Lost Daughter. Same thing with Drive My Car now being on HBO Max. So that I love, and I'm very happy. And I hope Worst Person in the World can maybe do the same thing. Maybe it can get on Hulu or something.
Yeah, I hope so too. Neon, please put it somewhere.
Yeah.
Or even
Neon
just
put
for
Spencer on Hulu, so that's why I'm pulling for.
Yeah,
I'm pulling for that.
They should do that at least before the Oscar ceremony. I do think that would be helpful, at least in terms of their chances.
Yeah,
not that I don't think it'll win anything, but yeah.
No, but I do. I think Drive My Car could maybe win adapted screenplay. I think
it
that's
could.
very
I do think Power of the Dog could very much take a Nomadland route there, where Chloe Zhao is winning Best Director, so then something else can take screenplay.
100%.
I very much see that happening.
And I would. What else? It's Lost Daughter. That would be a tight race between those 3, and I do think it is a tight race between those 3.
Yeah,
I don't think Dune's
no shot. No.
Dune
Honor Denis somewhere. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Well,
it is.
I wanted them to honor Bradley Cooper somewhere for A Star Is Born. That didn't happen.
They didn't.
By the way, I forgot to mention, I think, on the last episode, Bradley Cooper was nominated for Nightmare Alley for producing. He has been nominated for producing 3 out of the last 4 years, I think, for
Joker.
producing Stars Born, Joker, and now this.
Hmm.
He's Bradley Cooper, I think, is really expanding his portfolio, and he's doing a real. I mean, he got
He
nominated for
is.
script. He got nominated for acting, of course.
He's got his
Congrats to
new
him.
movie next year too. I think Maestro, I believe, is released this year.
Which I'm gonna
I would
call it
hope.
now. I think that's probably
I hope
he's the front runner.
he's at like what, like 11 nominations now. He's like challenging Glenn Close.
Yeah,
It's
oh my
crazy,
God. Yeah.
crazy,
Him
crazy.
versus Austin Butler for Elvis.
Yeah, I do think Austin Butler will probably get nominated. That seems like the kind of Beatty performance that they'll like. And then Tom
We'll
Hanks is just
see.
doing Jared Leto in that movie, and it's another House of Gucci performance.
Yeah. We'll
It's
see. I mean, the last time we had a rock biopic come out during the summer, it was Rocket Man, and I didn't get any
yeah,
nominations.
true, true. Imagine if
And Bob
Bradley
Lerman,
Cooper lost to he first lost to Freddie Mercury. Now he's gonna lose to Elvis.
that'd be funny.
Tragedy.
Well, it's like somebody said that had Amanda Seyfried won last year for Mank, Glenn Close would have been defeated in acting categories by all 3 generations of Mamma Mia. Because
Yeah,
she lost to
that's
Cher and
funny.
she lost to
Yeah,
Meryl. And there's a part of me that really wanted Amanda to win.
yeah.
Um,
She hates Mamma
uh,
Mia. Yeah,
yeah, she probably hates it. But she loves debut.
she does. That was the best part of last year's ceremony.
Oh my God. On that note, where can they find you, Jack?
At Oscar Film FC on Twitter. Yeah, I posted for questions this week, but we didn't get any. So next week, if you have any
Yes.
questions, hit us up. So yeah, how about you?
At Anthony_post on Twitter and Letterbox. Come follow me. I review movies. So yeah.
Yeah,
Woo.
check us out next week for some SAG stuff and talking about
See
who
how
can win
wrong
at
we
the
were.
Oscars. Yeah, we'll have to see. Yeah, there's not many categories there, so have to see how much we get out of
We'll
6.
see. Also, TV wise, we don't do TV, but Succession
Yeah,
is going
rooting
to
for Succession. Sarah
do.
Snook.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be such a great speech. I can't wait for Sarah Snook.
Yeah, it's
Um,
exciting.
all right, bye everyone.
Bye.